So how do you like this game so far?
I love it. It's taken up all of my free time in the last few weeks. There's a lot of depth to it and a lot of things that most card games don't have anything like it. It has a lot of really unique mechanics and just the way the game plays a lot, and I really like it.
That is awesome, dude. That is awesome. And not just that, dude. I love the community around this card game. It's very mature.
Yeah, they're all great people. Like it's a lot of people that you can actually just, whether it's just shooting the breeze or actually talking about decks, things like that. It's a really good community overall that I've found. So we have a couple of things we like here. We like to ideally this hand is great if we find a monster's nest, and we know we have one blacklist with one of our witchers here. So I'd lead off with a ghoul here. We get to blacklist the third one, so it gives us one more try for a monster nest here. Then I go ahead and blacklist one of the. I think we can go ahead. We can take a little bit of a chance here. We can get rid of one of the Ekamaras. Again, it blacklists the third copy of it. So
There
again, it
it
gives us.
is.
Okay, there we go. So we got it. And then we get rid of the third Witcher. We only have one bad draw here, which is the other Witcher. And I think generally it's worth it for you to take that chance. And again, we want the same lead as we had last time, where we just go Necker and a Necker Warrior if we can. That's our ideal opening here. One of the nice things about this version of the list, and unlike Gum Gum's list, is actually because we're stacked so heavily in the front row, we get a little bit more protection from weather in all rows, because we only need to first light clear only the melee row. So we also play one extra first light specifically for a weather matchup.
Now that's a huge tempo swing. Would you just go for the Necker Warrior just to go? And if he passes, you obviously go with Lambert, right?
I think we're fine going with the Necker Warrior here. We don't necessarily have to play the Witchers here if we don't want to. It kind of depends on what he decides he wants to do. We can fight for the board if he wants to keep committing to it, but if he doesn't, we can back out of the round if we want. We're not that worried about drawing no Witchers that we're gonna not pass up that card advantage.
Okay, so here we go. Also, you have Dagon and Clear Skies.
Yeah, I play one first light, or one clear skies rather, because I want both the extra deck thinning and I want the ability to actually clear the weather in matchups like this.
Oh, that's a
Uh,
weird pass right there, but
so we can go ahead, we have two options here. We can play the Witchers into an Ekamara. We'd be going down two cards then to win the round, but we kind of have a bit of a stranglehold on him then. Or we can pass. We don't actually have a play that gives us the board control, unfortunately, and he also gets to carry over the 8-power Crone. Given that he's a weather deck, most likely, off the Wild Hunt Warriors, I think we kind of want to pass here. We don't want to go down too far because then he gets to weather us and we don't have an option at that point. It's part of the power of going up to two cards then, is you get to play a card plus then the Biting Frost on us. So we're fine giving him around here because it also lets us set up a little bit. We have our Necker Warrior now, and we get to get our train rolling a little bit, so to speak.
now only what is it? The other Witcher will be no, no Eskel. The other one, Vesemir. That will be
Vesemir.
their Arbadro.
I mean, ideally, we like to not have a Necker or Witcher. That's perfect for us, honestly. But you're not really dead like in that kind of situation. Again, we're still equal in card parity, so we don't really care that much on that aspect. And now we get to start our engine rolling here. So we can go ahead, we can play a Monster Nest out at this point. Even if he has something like a Lacerate here, it's not that big of a deal because then we get the Necker Warrior and add more back into our deck. So we have a little bit of protection here from a removal spell, and we now get to start setting up our board and getting that tempo swing back for this round and the third round.
Now this is for a fraction there I thought that he was playing weather control, but like this just surprised me right here. The goal.
He could be. I wouldn't be surprised actually if he is. I've seen some people whose opinion is that one of the nice counters of this deck is actual weather deck. Whether or not it is, I'm not quite sure yet, but it seems interesting in that aspect. Again, because if you get set up before they get set up, you have a lot of outs to that. Because we only have one thing here that we can actually eat with Karen that doesn't summon a new Necker, I think our best play here is actually just a first light. And again, this is why we play the card in the deck. Specifically for a situation like this where we don't have a nice board to Karen to keep our Neckers high, so that we can basically force out his weather cards early, and then later on we'll have an answer to what he does.
I haven't seen that in a little bit. Only in tournament play.
Yeah, so it seems like he's probably just playing an anti-meta deck, honestly. Like, he probably just has a lot of really good tech cards for matchups like this, what he expects to see on the ladder. At this point, we can go ahead, we can put our Witchers out. We have a pretty nice board control here. We want to save the Necker Warriors for a little bit later because he doesn't know that we have it right now. So if he blows a Lacerate, we're perfectly fine with that, and we can go ahead and Necker Warrior and add more back into our deck. We want to make sure that whatever we do, we're going to have Neckers available for us round 3. And now we can go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, take it. That's okay.
We have 2 options here. We can either Necker Warrior, and since he hasn't shown anything like a removal spell, if you expect him to have a Lacerate, you would have thought he'd used it by now. So we can go ahead, we can Necker Warrior, and then start our train rolling with our Ghoul, or we can hedge our bets a little bit, play a Ghoul now, and kind of put our minions out of range. It kind of depends. This is one of those moments where you have a little bit of a choice to make on whether you want to play the safe route or go with the more aggressive approach.
The bets on the graveyard are actually pretty juicy. 3 sevens to 3 3s to 7s.
Yeah, we have a 40% chance to roll high here, basically, and actually get a very, very good carryover. And part of it also depends on if we think he's going to pass this round at this point. My personal line here would be to play the Ghoul. If we hit that high roll, he probably passes then, and we go into the final round even on cards. So we rolled low there, which kind of sucks. But again, it gets our Neckers out of that Lacerate range, and it also kind of gives us a little bit of a leeway here with what we're going to do in the future turns. Man, he is very teched for the Skellige matchup, it looks like.
Wow. That also will get like all 3 of the Foglets, but that was still is a lot of commitment right there.
Yeah, again, I don't think the tech decks like that are bad, but one thing that he risks is in a matchup like this, having them not be very good. Even if he hits a creature in our graveyard, we still have a lot of things that we're going to be consuming and putting in there that we can go ahead and eat ourselves. So it doesn't really affect us that much. I can just go ahead and Necker Warrior here. The difference between carrying over that and the 7-power Ghoul isn't actually anything at all to us. And since he hasn't shown a Lacerate and we're protected from it now, we can go ahead and it's pretty safe for us to put those last 2 Neckers into the deck.
That is also information that he Thunder like that.
Yeah. One thing I think that we can do here and we're pretty safe is we can play the Avalok. We're still going to be ahead on board. It puts us up another card. And it kind of incentivizes him to stay in the round. Generally, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll try to get out of a round as early as possible whenever it looks like they can't win. But since he's so close to us, he might try to now commit more cards to it. And we don't really care what he commits to the board here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to beat him next round anyway.
And I would like to say that I like the 2 cards that we drew.
Yeah, those are both very, very powerful for us. I don't think that we commit a Monster Nest this round. We really don't need to. We can basically save them for next round, then have it as powerful of a board as possible. I think that our play here is one of our non-K-Ran consume minions or the Spear Tip. I think either of the consume minions is probably our best play here. And once we play one of them, I expect they'll probably pass.
Yeah.
But I think our best here is probably Catachan looking at it, because we can play the Ekamar after that to consume it and make it bigger, and we can also use it to move some of our power off that front row and kind of hedge from that Biting Frost effect. So the Catachan's probably our best, just eating one of the Crones.
Kid H7, sorry for robbing you, but this is for teaching purposes.
And yeah, look at our board now. We're protected from multiple different things. We don't really care if he frosts because we still have Dagon to clear it. We don't care if he has multiple frosts because K-Ran then buffs our board. We don't care about Igni or Scorch because we have a Catachan blocking the way as well as a Witcher. So we have a lot of protection here and a lot of redundancy. And it looks like what he's trying to do here is just kind of carry over a little bit of extra power with that Ekamara. So we can go ahead, we can Ekamara ourselves, eat the Catachan, have a huge body, and then it also, again, buffs our board and all of our Neckers in our deck.
And just leave it on melee, right? I don't think there is anything.
I think we're fine just hedging our bets and putting it in the Siege row, actually. It protects us from, if he plays a Woodland Spirit, which is common tech in a very teched out monster deck to play a Woodland Spirit. And since he's playing Griffins and Crones, I don't really expect him to be packing that much of a back row threat. It kind of gives us a little bit of a hedge on our power swings here, that we're not going to get blown out by certain things.
He's just trying to take into... I don't think he's going to go all in here. I highly doubt that.
No, I think he's just trying to bleed us out of a couple cards and probably trying to get us to play something so that we don't carry that Kamara over. And frankly, we're fine with that. What we can do here is we can play the old Spear Tip. It'll buff our entire row, it won't flip here, but what it will do is that since he's going to carry over a Regis Vampire next turn, it's going to mean that if he tries to play anything in that front row after a while, it's going to go ahead and just shut that strategy right down.
It will wake up. So we just put it on
exactly. Yeah, put it on melee here. You can kind of make a little bit of a case to put it in the back row, but we really don't need that. It's a bigger power swing for us actually if we put it in the front row at this point.
And that Vesemir, the real MVP, protecting all that 7, dude.
Right?
And this is one of the things that we asked during the deck tech. And yes, this is beautiful. I love this spot.
So now we'll go ahead. We'll counter with our own Dagon at this point, basically. We're also protected if he plays Karanther in his deck. He can't actually do much with it because once he gets that Frost out, Old Spirit Tip will flip, kill all of his minions that aren't gold, and we can go ahead and we can carry in and buff our entire side right back up again. So there's not really a lot that he can do here to counter our board state.
My apologies. That was my dogs right there. See, I told you, didn't I tell you that this was going to happen, like, randomly? I predicted it, dude. I predicted this, like, so long ago.
They saw all the eating on the board and they wanted in as well, apparently.
Indeed, they don't like it when your weather changes. 7 is the highest.
Okay, and again, our Old Spirit Tip's going to flip at the end of turn here, so there's not actually a lot that he can do to us.
Boop.
Boom. We are going to have to burn our Karan here, unfortunately, which kind of sucks, but we get to make some really cool plays next round. So if we just Karan, we want to eat the 2/7 Witchers and the Necker Warrior, just so we have a little bit more protection in case he does have anything like a Scorch. Well, again, our Neckers are going to go up to 10s here, so it doesn't actually give us Scorch protection in that aspect, unfortunately. We don't want to eat a Necker here because if we do, it pops our passive. We want to try to carry the Old Spirit Tip if we can.
Okay.
So once we do this and we eat the Witchers and the Necker Warrior, there really shouldn't be a card he can play that beats our board. Even if it's a Frost, we're going to have more power saved up than he can deal with.
So double 7 and we can do the other even on the Warrior, right?
Yeah, I need a Warrior. It saves us the Witchers like a bigger power point there, and the Neckers are going to eat a Scorch anyway if he has it or an Igni. So we really can't protect them. It's just fine to do it this way. It puts a bit of power into Carrion, but keeps us some in the front row as well. And then he passes, which we're fine with. We get to do something really cool here on our next turn, and part of why I love Old Spirit Tip is this next play. So we're guaranteed to carry Spirit Tip over right here. We're still up a card on our opponent, which is great. One thing that Spirit Tip does is it triggers not at every round, it triggers at the beginning of the turn. Or at the end of your turn, it checks its ability to see if it's actually relevant or not. And that lets us do some really cool things here, because when he flips back over, he buffs your entire board, and then when he flips back over, he deals damage to your opponent. We can play a Monster Nest here on our Neckers, spawn 3 more. When it flips over, we get to buff 7 bodies here instead of just the 4 that we carried over. It's a really, really cool play with this deck that you can do quite often if you can carry with the Spirit Tip.
Oh my goodness, that is so good! Wow!
And one of the really cool things about that is it also means that the Neckers that you spawn off of Monster Nest can't be lacerated.
And there is 2 Neckers that are actually protecting everything right there for you.
Woo! Exactly. Now, that kind of sucks, but again, even when he just Mana Core Venomed us for 28 points, we're still ahead by 14. So we're still ahead by a huge advantage here, and we can just go ahead, play the other Monster Nest and keep going.
Dude, that is so much strength, so much power. That is absolutely awesome. I love it.
And it's part of why Monster Nest is just a staple in this deck as a 3 of. I think that the control list, you really can't try to fit that third one in. You need the space a little bit too much for other tech cards. But since this version of it is just so focused on going all in and as hard and fast as possible against your opponent, it really shines in this matchup for a lot of reasons. And that right there is one of the cool ones that I really like about the deck.